Troops out now, blood for oil no more. From Aberdeen to Bethnal Green, from pensions to fund wars.
Get your placards for the demo here! Respect placards!
It's been 3 years since the invasion of Iraq, and in London, hundreds of thousands of anti-war protesters have taken to the streets. Man of the moment is anti-war MP George Galloway.
Well done, George. Keep going, George. Well done, George.
You are my favourite. Oh, can I hug you as well? No, can I?
Well done, George. Keep it up.
Well, I'm a great supporter of this.
Galloway has become a hero to the anti-war movement around the world. His relentless attacks on what he calls Tony Blair's lie machine have earned him a generation of worshippers.
This man should be a Prime Minister and kick the liars out! Kick the liars! You should be a Prime Minister! You should be the King, Your Royal Highness! You should be the King!
Galloway also has many enemies.
Mr. Galloway, I'm pleased to have you before the committee today. What I'm going to do is...
A Senate committee in Washington has accused him of receiving money for oil from the regime of Saddam Hussein.
Senior Iraqi officials have confirmed that you, in fact, received oil allocations and that the documents that identify you as an allocation recipient are valid.
Senator, I am not now, nor have I ever been, an oil trader. I have never seen a barrel of oil, owned one, bought one, sold one, and neither has anybody on my behalf.
I've always had powerful enemies, but now I have the most powerful enemies of all. I have the United States Republican neocon leadership after me. I have Tony Blair after me. If John Howard had ever heard of me, he'd be after me too. The Iraqi puppet regime are after me. The state of Israel has long regarded me as an enemy. I have very powerful enemies with many resources.
Now, our next speaker has had a controversial year, even by his own standards. But we need to be clear ourselves, as a united movement, why he is a controversial year and why he is attacked. He is attacked because this movement is strong. He is attacked because this movement has been right. That is why I am proud to call him a comrade and proud to ask you once again to welcome George Galloway.
Comrades and friends, wassalamu alaikum, peace be with you. Thank you for that.
Millions of dollars have been poured into investigations, inquiries, and in some cases forged documents to try and bring down Galloway.
To billionaires in exchange for secret.
So who is this man who's inspired such attacks? And are any of the allegations against him true?
Another day of infamy for Britain.
Away from the international stage, George Galloway is a local MP in London's East End.
No, it just says
in the predominantly working class and migrant constituency of Bethnal Green and Bow.
Yeah, this was once really a hub of the local community. There's nothing else.
So how long's Safeway been closed?
3 months, something like that.
So where are the locals shopping now?
Well, with real difficulty, especially the older people.
He's the only parliamentary representative of a newly formed left-wing party called Respect, and today he's on the campaign trail for local council elections.
Get a foothold here. I promise you nothing will ever be the same again. After all, the people...
His main focus of attack is the Labor Party, Prime Minister Tony Blair and Treasurer and aspiring leader Gordon Brown.
The public realm in which we live is shabby and broken and tattered and filled with holes and gaps through which human beings fall through. We had, because Brown said it, all the money in the world to pay for the war. He said, whatever it takes, I'll write the check.
He was at that time trying to show how much like Mr. Blair he was. It may be that in the next few months he'll spend a lot of time trying to show us how different from Mr. Blair he really is. For me, if you'll forgive me putting it bluntly, they're two cheeks of the same arse. Gordon Brown wrote the cheque, and he was very clear about it. Whatever it takes, I'll write the cheque. So we have money to go around the world setting fire to other people's countries, but we don't have money to keep our old age pensioners warm in winter. Thanks very much.
It is extremely unlikely that the world can be made a...
Until 2003, Galloway was a Labor Member of Parliament. His vocal opposition to the war, including encouraging British soldiers to disobey illegal orders, saw him expelled from the Labor Party after 36 years' membership.
I think it clearly came from Tony Blair personally. Blair signalled it immediately after the fall of Baghdad that he would be moving against Galloway, and they were just not prepared to have that level of attack from one of their own backbenchers, and they in a war that they knew was unpopular with the majority of the British people. It was an unprecedented thing in Labour Party history for someone to be expelled solely for an expression of opinion, which is effectively what it was.
Galloway took his revenge, winning a seat from the Labor Party in the general election.
Mr. Blair, this is for Iraq.
I said on the day that I was expelled that Mr. Blair would rue the day that he expelled me, and he's already rued it. We are the only credible challenge from the left to Labour that has existed in this country for 60 years. Indeed, I'm the only Member of Parliament ever to have been elected to the left of Labour for 60 years.
To really understand George Galloway, though, you need to understand his 30-year love affair with the Middle East. I've travelled with him to Cairo, where he's come to address a conference.
A traitor betraying the country and so on.
Last time he flew to Egypt, he was arrested and locked up for 24 hours, possibly because of critical comments he made about the regime here. In a change of heart, he's now being welcomed back.
Well, by the grace of God, quite a few people like me in Egypt. I'm frequently on Arab satellite television. Most people in Egypt like what I say, so I'm quite well known around this country, and I think that the regime decided that it was not wise to alienate so many people by behaving in such a way to me.
Galloway describes himself as a friend of the Arab world. Beginning in 1975, when as a young man he travelled from Scotland to the Palestinian refugee camps of Lebanon.
I really fell head over heels with the revolution that was there. The Palestinian camps, the plurality of Palestinian politics. Every building had a different party in it. Every party had a magazine and a newspaper, and there was music in the cafes at night and revolution in the air, as Bob Dylan put it in another context. And I liked revolution. I was
not afraid of backing an unpopular cause even then. Galloway soon had the Palestinian flag flying over the city chambers back in Dundee.
It was in the mid-70s, after the Munich Olympic Games operation and aircraft hijackings and so on. It was, in a way, in public relations terms, it was the equivalent of saying you were with bin Laden today. This is my favourite city, I would say.
Favourite city anywhere?
Yeah. It's the beating heart of the Arab world.
Today, Galloway is on his way to attend the Cairo conference, billed as an international campaign against US and Zionist occupation.
Tell by the troop levels that we're getting closer to the conference. It's a
good job creation scheme, dictatorship, and
Why is
keeps
that?
hundreds of thousands